It's a Rolls, alright. To look at the Spectre, however, is to see the unmistakable form of a modern Rolls-Royce coupe. It would have been easy, perhaps easier, to make the first electric offering an SUV, as Mihiri Yubi, the company's director of engineering, told us, but it was not the expression of luxury the company was after. Almost 18 feet long and 7 feet wide, the 4-seat Spectre Fastback is an unabashed rich person's express that bows before no one. Riding on a 126-inch wheelbase, it tips the scales at 6,559 pounds unladen, with a Brobdingnagian turning circle of almost 42 feet, even with standard 4-wheel steering. Environmental efficiency may be the goal, and it may be as claimed the most aerodynamic roller ever, but there is nothing particularly futuristic, downsized, or less than maximally badass about the Spectre. Not that we would have expected otherwise. If you didn't subscribe our channel, please subscribe and stay with us. Taking in the visuals, its lower than traditional expression of Rolls' Pantheon grille, handsomely backlit in the way of so many new electric models, is flanked by split headlights for a fresh take on an old look. The firm's widest grille ever, it reminds us that BMW, the industry's most ardent champion of oversized front apertures, writes the checks for Rolls. Behind that record-setting grille is not a frunk, but a proper machine room to house the voluminous hard and softwares behind an intensely complicated suspension, with dedicated controls for each of 141,200 separate sender-receiver variables, which help it rapidly anticipate and execute needed adjustments of shock and anti-roll bar settings to adapt to coming road conditions. For instance, temporarily decoupling the anti-roll bars for brief intervals to spare unseemly intrusions on occupants. Comfort. The achievement of silken ride properties was made more challenging by the fact that the Spectre's variation on Rolls' flexible aluminum spaceframe chassis architecture, as seen in its other current models, boasts 30% more torsional rigidity than ever before, making the business of keeping it settled and comfortable more daunting, if not impossible. A lower center of gravity, courtesy of its substantial battery's location low down in the center of the car, with motors riding between both front and rear axles, will aid flat cornering. Heavy though they are, the batteries, it is observed, double as more than 1,500 pounds of additional sound deadening. Along with all the other tricks Rolls has learned about quieting the cabin, engineers actually had to work to reintroduce some sound to the interior, though as yet no artificial sound enhancement of the ersatz internal combustion variety is planned. Sufficient power and 260 miles of range. In keeping with this overriding spirit of civility, Rolls chose not to participate in the senseless horsepower wars that have captivated many an EV maker of late, settling on motive force figures not dissimilar from one of its current V12 battle cruisers. While final EPA figures have not been announced, its twin motors combined 577 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque are expected to move the big coupe to 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds, which is plenty fast in our book, sufficient, in Rolls-Royce's delightfully vague former description, yet not so rapid as to risk passenger nausea and driver blackouts under hard acceleration. Significant regeneration with one-foot driving was felt to be off-brand and unlikely to be in attendance, while a top speed of 155 miles is anticipated along with an all-electric estimated EPA range of 260 miles. We'll know more once we drive it next year.